Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Corning Museum of Glass. We're here in the amphitheater, and my name's Jeff Mack. I'm the manager of hot glass programs here, and we've got a very special show for you this afternoon. We're also live streaming. We're here with Nick Uhas. Let's give him a nice warm welcome to the stage. Nick is a TikTok star. He's host of Netflix Blown Away. Nick is a science influencer who combines his formal science education with his insatiable curiosity to create pop science content, and he shares with 700,000 YouTube subscribers, and get this, 7.3 million TikTok followers. So we've got a lot of people watching us today. Nick is live streaming on his TikTok channel. And here at Corning, we're live streaming on our own YouTube channel. So we hope you enjoy this demonstration. We're going to play with glass, and we're going to talk about some of the science behind it, and just show you some of the cool properties of glass here. We're going to show you a lot of little demonstrations that we like to do at the museum to show everybody different types of properties of this very magical material. So welcome, Nick.
Thank you. That was a really good intro, by the way. I got all my accolades. They're all written down here, and actually, when I read it, I'm actually quite impressed. So
it is impressive. It is impressive. Yes.
And thank you guys for coming out. This is awesome. I see that we have someone who's a Michigan fan over here. I went to Ohio State, but it's fine. We can talk about it later. It's fine. They have a great wrestling team, so it's forgivable. Okay.
All right. So, Nick, we're here in a hot shop. This is where, so I'm a glass maker. I'm not a scientist. This is a science show because we're going to look at glass. And the thing I can do is do some cool stuff with glass, and we can talk about what that means and why things are happening and what an important property the glass is displaying and whatever we're doing. So one thing about a hot shop is that it's hot.
It's very hot.
We've got this thing right here. This is our furnace. And inside here, since we make glass here, this is where the glass is stored.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That is really warm, by the way.
Yeah.
And that feels like that would singe off the hair on your arm if you got too close.
It happens. It happens.
How hot is that?
So this furnace is 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's warm.
Yeah, it's pretty hot. So
That's
it's like
really
a volcano.
Warm.
And what's in there is a big clay pot, a big crucible, and it holds about 1,000 pounds of molten glass. So liquid glass is in there. It's kept liquid by this being so hot. So we're burning gas, natural gas, and there's forced air, and that keeps the furnace nice and hot.
Would you say that's like kind of similar to lava?
It's exactly the same thing.
It's like
except
lava.
It's a lot cleaner. The glass we use here is a very pure silica.
Got it.
And it's mixed with soda ash and limestone. So there's very specific ingredients, and our glass is clear. When it comes out, as you see here in just a second, as you will see, it's going to be glowing bright orange. And that is the heat energy that's coming off of the glass as it's out here in the open air. But you can really feel it when we open this door.
Jeez.
And we got a live studio audience here in the amphitheater here in Corning. And we're so grateful you came or you're spending your afternoon with us here. So we'll keep you nice and toasty.
So Zach Attack says, I'm here in row 4A. Is there a Zach out here? Room 4A? I think 4A. He was lying to us.
Okay.
Well, if he is here, what's up, Zach?
So one thing we get asked a lot, so I'm a glass blower. I'm here at the museum, and we demonstrate for the public every day. And one thing we get asked a lot is, when you're making a piece, do you just kind of let it do what it wants ever? And the answer to that is you really can't do that. Because glass, when we work with it, it's changing. So we take it out of this furnace where it's a liquid, and then once we're out here, it immediately starts to cool down. But while it's a liquid, all it wants to do is this. Check this out.
Oh, wow.
It just wants to drip onto the floor. And let's check this little tadpole out that we just made. And one thing I want you to watch. Again, the glass is just cooling down. But let's watch this little tail here. Let's see if anything happens to it.
You know, Jeff, this actually looks a lot like a music note. Would you consider yourself an artist at this point?
Yes. In fact, that was my intention.
Very
No.
much so. I can tell by the way that he laid it down there.
If you let the glass make what it wants to make or do what it wants to, it makes a music note.
Oh, I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
all the facts.
Yeah, it's a drip, really. And one thing that maybe if you get really close down here you could see is that this tail is lifting off the marver. So this is a steel table, and it's nice and cold. It's very thick steel. And when we drip the glass on the marver, immediately the surface of the glass starts cooling down because the steel is pulling heat out of that surface. And what happens is then the top layer there's a hot layer of glass up there that starts to contract really slowly. So it pulls that tail up. So you have compression and you have tension. So you have compression on the bottom from the cold surface that was in contact with the steel. And then you have tension on this side. And you can see that's how it bends up like that. So it naturally kind of moves.
It is really interesting that glass has this property that it basically kind of just does this on its own. I mean, not every material does that.
Yeah, a lot of things shrink when they cool and expand when they heat up. But glass does it too. And I just wanted to show you that kind of as a starter here for what we're about to do next. So I'm going to do another one. I'm going to take another gather of glass. And this time, instead of cooling it on the steel table, what I'll do is I'll just gather it up and I'll drip it into a bucket of water.
Safety, number one priority.
Yes, safety glasses are a must. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, team, for this.
And this is Michael Beam over here. He's helping us out.
Michael, we wear these in the lab, so now I feel just right at home. Thank you.
All right, so back to the furnace. I'm just gathering up a little bit of glass, and I'm going to make what's called a Prince Rupert's drop. So I'm taking the glass, I'm just going to drip it, dripping it right here into this bucket of water. And what do you see there? You see that outer surface immediately cooled. It lost that orange color, but the inside is still glowing, still glowing. So that inside's about 800 degrees, and you can see the water boiling around the glass. So the outside layer of that little drop is super cooled. It creates a compression layer. And the inside layer, well, the inside is still cooling, so there's tension there. And it creates that compression layer is so strong that you could almost shoot a bullet at that, and it wouldn't break apart. You would shatter the bullet. In fact, I think there's videos on YouTube of that happening.
I was going to say, I think we need somebody in the live stream to actually go fact check that and look up and see if you can actually shoot a bullet at the Prince Rupert's drop. That's pretty intense.
So these are called Prince Rupert's drops because there was a Bavarian prince during Victorian times, and he would go to conventions and court, and he would bring these things and kind of entertain himself with them. He'd put them in people's hands and snap the tail off, because if you break that outer layer of compression, you get a catastrophic failure.
Oh, wow.
The thing just blows apart.
So what you're saying is that thing's actually pretty unstable, just chilling in there like that.
It's unstable, but it's very strong. And guess what? We're going to go back to this later.
All right.
We're going to let it cool down fully. We'll pull it out of there. Actually, I'm going to pull it out of there. I'm going to be brave.
Oh, wow.
And just
man, you're
look at that.
Playing with your life right here.
So yeah, as long as I don't scratch or go through that compression layer, everything's going to be all right. But I'm going to take this over here, and I'll put it in this little aquarium that we have, and then we'll get back to it later. Play around with that later.
I feel like you're putting it in timeout.
Yeah, it's in timeout. But it did exactly what we wanted it to. It cooled very quickly.
All right. It did. It did at least that.
So let's go on to the next thing. And then we'll go back to the Prince Rupert's drop. So we did you want to help me with something here, Nick?
I would love to participate.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a gather, and I'm going to hand you a pair of tweezers, glass-making tweezers. I'll have you grab the gather, and instead of dripping it, we're going to just have you walk across the room.
Okay.
And you're going to pull and make a strand of glass, a fiber of glass, okay?
I mean, we've done some risky things, so we're down. Oh, yeah.
I think you can handle it.
Off.
Let me grab you some tweezers.
There we go. Yeah, I need two hands for this because I feel like I don't want to be, I don't want to have the phone in one hand and the tweezers in the other. I feel like that'd be a bit much. All right, guys, these are tweezers for a giant, or tweezers for if you have like a very large log-sized splinter, which you should probably go to the hospital if you have to use these. Correct,
Yeah,
right? Am I right?
That's exactly what it's for.
That's what I thought.
That's one thing. All right, so here we go. I'm going to take another gather out of the furnace. And the way I gather, I just put a rod in there. We have to heat up the metal rods just a little bit, about 800 degrees, so it's kind of glowing cherry red.
All right.
So why don't you come on over here, and then once you get about 20 feet out, you can use your hands. You won't even need the tweezers anymore. You can just go hand over hand and just start spooling that
I just like
in.
literally just grab it?
Yeah, just grab the fats.
chunk?
Yeah, grab a chunk of that,
Oh, wow.
and let's just stretch it out.
Oh, wow, it's still going. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
that is
So,
really
so
long.
you don't even need the tweezers now, because
That
one of
is
the
absurd.
isn't that cool?
You're on the other side of the whole stage here.
Yeah. So just grab the end and keep pulling. There's still a lot more glass here,
Can
Nick.
I touch that? Oh, I can touch
You can
that.
grab.
Wow,
You can put those tweezers down if you
it's
want, or
stuck there.
just
You know
break
what?
that off of there,
I'm just going to put those down here.
and just go ahead and pull. Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
You said that was 800 degrees on the other side?
So this side here, where the glass is thick,
I'm
that's
just
still
pulling the
probably
glass.
about 900 degrees or so, and you are feeding the glass off of there. At that end, it's no hotter than a cup of coffee. Nick's able,
no,
and
that's
maybe
warm
it's
right
getting
there.
hot now.
It
So
got
that
hot
shows
eventually.
you-
I think I pulled too much.
Hey, let's hear it for Nick. What a cool
That was
thing he
pretty
just did, isn't
good.
that Nate?
Are you guys hiring for a glass puller?
Yeah, a glass puller.
You guys
So-
can do something with that.
So pulling a fiber like that is really a fun thing to do, but also it shows you how
That was pretty
glass
great. I'm pretty awesome at that.
fiber optical cables are possible because glass is super malleable and it stretches out, and it's also elastic, so it holds the form. So those are two kind of interesting properties of glass that allow something like fiber optic cables, which this is kind of a version of. It's not as pure glass as what we use for communications, but if anybody here has used your cell phone today, you've used the technology that we've just demonstrated here, is glass pulled into fibers. And the way that it works is that light is transmitted through the material, through the glass. And as far as I understand it, the electrons vibrate from the photonic energy and it transfers from one electron to the next all the way through the material. And then the outer surface of the glass reflects it all back in. So you have an incredible amount of light going through the glass.
It's kind of like a mirror. So it's like, if you think of like a tunnel, it's a mirror.
Yeah,
And so it's just reflecting from all the different areas, and it's pushing all that energy in one direction.
that's
And
right.
you can actually show that with light, since light is, it's essentially like a photon, which is a particle, but it's moving in a wave. It has very wave-like properties.
Yeah,
And we can actually show that, can't we?
we sure can. We sure can.
Cool.
Actually, yeah. And
wanna grab this
what I've
bad boy.
heard,
Thank
and
you.
I'm not sure, but I guess this is true, is that an optical fiber thread can carry as much information as a copper cable that is 6 feet in diameter. So it's very efficient at transmitting energy. So, okay, we've got this. Let me grab a flashlight real
That's
quick.
a lot of information, by the way. I mean, you have to be like live streaming, gaming, having 17 people all talking group chat all at once. Hey, look at this. This is great. This is so meta. It's like we're live streaming through the live stream, through the live stream. That's awesome.
Whatever it is, it's fun.
It is great.
So, let's see. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Let's turn on the flashlight. There we go.
There we are.
All right, so here's a blown up version of that. This is a cane. This is a glass cane. So we pulled that just like we did with what we had before there. And I can take my flashlight, I'll shine it in this end. And then, Michael, would you mind holding up a piece of paper at the other end? Do you see the end of that?
Wow, look at that.
So the light transmits almost as if I have it kind of right up next to
You
it.
kind of go back and forth and just like show. Like,
Yeah, so
do
yeah.
light on, light off.
Light on, light off.
It's like
light
a little
on.
kid's game. Look at that.
Yeah, you could do Morse
Oh,
code.
wow.
beep, 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 beep.
That's incredible.
Beep,
I mean,
beep.
that's a very accurate light.
Yeah, and then you were talking about the internal reflectivity. It's like a mirror tunnel. So even if I take the cane, and we made this one for you. See,
Oh.
it's an N for Nick, and a U for Uhas.
You guys shouldn't have.
You can take that with you, Nick. It's a special gift for you.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to shine it towards me, but you could see the light is coming through just as strong as the straight cane. I take it away.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's really cool.
And then just for giggles, let's go through a really long one
All right.
down here.
How long would you say this is?
This is like 20 feet.
It's pretty good.
Let's see if it still works.
All right.
Let's see
I
if it
just
still
wanna get the
works.
Yeah, we're going to start all the way over here.
All right, here we go. And it's kind of sagging, too. It's bent just like that U. And is it going through?
Oh, wow, look at that. Except for there's a difference over here, and that's the light appears to be green.
It's green. Okay.
That's weird.
I wonder why that is. I think the reason is because it's a lot thicker. It's going
see.
through more of the material, so you're seeing the green that's left over from the iron, which is an impurity in the glass.
I see.
Almost every glass has a little bit of iron in it, and it causes it to be green. So you see like window edges like we have here.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of a bluish green. So there's a little copper and a little iron in there maybe, or chrome, and that gives it that color. So when you go through a thicker, when you see light through a thicker edge, which this is, because even though this glass here, this plate glass, is 1/2 inch thick, if we look this way, it's 4 feet thick, you know? It's 3 feet thick, so you see that impurity. And that's exactly why you're seeing green light coming out of the other side.
Would you say, is there an impurity for all the different colors?
So, yeah, it depends on how you look at it. It's a colorant. So, to make clear glass, we add decolorants, things to make it look clearer. But for colored glasses, we add things like iron. So iron oxide makes green glass. It also makes brown glass. So metals and metal salts, when they're added to the basic ingredients of the glass, they give it color. So let's talk about the basic ingredients. And a lot of people know this, but glass is made out of sand. That's the most common type of glass. And our glass is a very common type of common glass. It's sand, soda ash, and these proportions in these bottles aren't correct. But we have sand, soda ash, and limestone. The sand is the former, so that's what the glass is made out of. And that makes about 70% of our glass up. Soda ash or sodium carbonate is about 20% of the recipe. And then the limestone is a stabilizer, and that keeps everything from breaking down over time. Like a sandcastle washes away with water. You wouldn't want your glass to wash away with water.
No.
Or anything.
No, you wouldn't.
You want it to last. So you put a stabilizer in there so it doesn't fall apart. And those ingredients are mixed together. And if you want the colors, you can add, you've got yellow here, so that's cadmium sulfide. And reds and oranges are selenium. So, you know, some metals we don't like to handle very much. We leave it to the experts, and we get some commercially available colors that we use with our clear glass. So you saw our big furnace with 1,000 pounds. We use little rods like this, and we can break chunks off of that and blow that through the clear glass, and it makes wonderful colors. We can also use frit, which is this stuff just crushed up into little pieces, and we can roll the clear glass through it. It sticks to the surface. But that's how we get glass. You have to add metals to it. And that's why you're also seeing that green cast. And this is kind of a fun one too, since we're talking about the light. I'll show you. So here's the squiggle. Is the light going to get through there?
Let's check it out.
Let's see.
So the light goes in this side.
Ooh, yes.
And
See?
out that side.
It's kind of a new lamp design.
It's really impressive.
Isn't that
it
neat?
keeps the light all in this little tunnel.
You can even see the little impurities in there glowing from the light flowing through it.
Wow.
Little pieces of dust that we pick up or air bubbles. So this is definitely not the quality of the optical fibers that run our internet, but it does give you the idea of how light is transmitted, and that property of glass that is so special is that it can transmit and reflect light like no other material. So it's kind of it's a really neat aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing we should do, since we were doing fibers and things like that, so we talked about transmittance of light. We've talked about ductility, malleability, and elasticity. Let's demonstrate that one more time. I'm going to show you a cool demonstration where we make a spring out of glass. And this is a fun one because you end up with a little toy to play with.
So like typically when you think of glass, you don't think of it as it moves or that you can do anything with it.
Yeah,
you just think of it as rigid and hard and it cracks and breaks.
It's fragile, yeah, but it's also so many other things, and it depends on what state it's in too, because it is coming out of the furnace. And one of the cool things about being a glass maker, especially at the furnace, is you have this range of states that it's in between liquid and solid. Glass never becomes a true solid. It's a disorganized solid. So its molecular structure looks like a liquid, but acts like a solid. It's kind of another special thing about it.
So I'm going to refer to glass as an amorphous, correct? And that's just because it's not in a crystalline state.
Yes.
So fun fact, the other thing that is also amorphous and in a non-crystalline state is Jolly Ranchers. So if you were to go home and just look at like any type of rock candy or a Jolly Rancher, technically speaking in the science world, that is still glass. And you can actually do glass blowing with Jolly Ranchers.
And Nick, I have to tell you, I've heard there's a lot of cool new technology developing with glasses that are not using silica as a former, using other things. So that's kind of, keep aware of that over the next few years.
So what's this over?
So we talked a little bit about color, so I thought I'd do something with a little color. I will do one more thread, though, like we did, only this time we're going to wind it around a spool. So Michael has a little spool that he's made earlier, and we're going to go over this wheel, this sort of, we call this a threading machine, and we're going to thread this on to the spool that Michael made to make a spring out of glass. And it doesn't always work.
Oh, look at this.
So the wheels that Michael has that on are kicked over at an angle. So when he rolls them on the set of wheels, it sort of corkscrews. So we're just going to break some of that off. Michael's going to hand that off, and I think it's bubble time, Michael, for you.
Speaking of candy, that looked a lot like candy.
So, there we go.
Oh my gosh.
Boy, that was easy.
It just came right off. Wait, was it what? You made this?
Yeah, it still might be a little hot, too.
What? So anyone who's seen Blown Away would know that it's possible to make...
Here's some more of these.
...springs with glass.
This one's really jiggly.
Oh, yeah, that's still pretty warm. Wow, we just made a spring, essentially a slinky. I'm sure that's copywritten, but that's really impressive. That glass even has this ability to do this. I'm assuming these don't make good Christmas gifts, though, for children.
No, most certainly not. Usually, there's tears for one reason or another after just a few minutes. Yeah. So that's fun. Let's see what we should try next. One thing. Okay, we did that.
Oh, I just broke it. It's still really fragile.
It is.
I mean, it is. Really fragile.
So some of these, the real thin ones are fragile, but also if they're a little thicker, they have less elasticity, or they're just more brittle, because it is glass.
That's
and
crazy.
That is another aspect of glass, is that it's pretty brittle. Flashlight off. All right, so trying to think of some other cool things to show you. The rods, the conductivity is something that we like to talk about.
This is a great one. This is bizarre.
So, yeah, glass, we've always think of glass as an insulator, right? In fact, we have these things, and these are called insulators. They're made out of glass, And some of you may remember when these were on electrical wire poles, and you would have the wire running across these, and these would keep the pole from catching on fire or conducting electricity. It would insulate. So we have this handy-dandy circuit here that has a old-fashioned incandescent light bulb on it, and I can show you, we have these little electrodes here. Guess what's going to happen when I try and conduct electricity with glass? Nothing. Isn't that amazing? But what's more amazing is using a tool and lighting that up. So this is a metal tool. This is a steel tool. And we know that metals really like to conduct electricity. So this steel tool I've got here is carrying the current around and through from one nail to the other.
Would it work with this too? What are these?
Yeah, these are also metal.
I just want to make sure that this isn't like a trick little tweezer.
It's not a trick tweezer, Nick. I promise you.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, okay.
Look, I'll even take one of these.
Checks out.
Here's one of these short nails.
Oh, there we go.
You know, you can even see the sparks.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
All right, so I guarantee you. And then the glass.
Then
nothing.
we try it with the glass.
Insulator. It's doing its job.
And so when you say insulator, that means essentially just electricity doesn't run through it.
That's right. So the electrons inside can't be excited to the point of conducting an electrical flow. Now, the difference is, and again, we'll go back to the fact that when we work with glass, it's always changing. So Michael's going to grab a gather out of our furnace. He's going to scoop a gather out of our melting furnace. He's going to bring it over here, and we're going to see what happens. Here's this tool. See?
Oh, wow, look at those sparks.
So it goes all the way around.
All right, so we're pulling just regular old glass right out of the furnace.
So molten glass. We're gonna see if it runs through the molten glass. Thank you, Michael. Now, there we go.
Wow, there we
Make a
go.
nice straight. So that's another cool property of glass, is that when it is in its liquid state, those electrons can move around. It's one of the reasons that the glass is glowing.
That is wild. So just
neat?
as a recap, cold
And then
glass,
watch as I stretch it, and it goes dimmer, and I think we lost it there. No, there's a little bit of light left.
So just as a recap, the cold glass does not allow electricity to go through it.
Yep.
But molten glass does.
It does, and
That
actually,
is so weird.
one of the cool things is that some large industrial glass furnaces use that to keep the glass molten. They have induction furnaces where they actually let the electricity flow through the entire mass of glass sitting in their furnace to keep it molten. And it's much more efficient than the gas-fired furnace.
Fun fact, you can actually put molten glass into a microwave.
Yeah.
If you heat it up with a torch, you can then continue to keep that molten glass actually getting more liquid in a microwave for that exact same reason.
So you prime it with the gas,
Yes.
flame, and then you get, and that's exactly how one of these industrial
Don't try that
furnaces
at home.
work.
Don't try that. I did not tell anyone to try that at home, by the way.
In fact, there's a furnace here in Corning that's gigantic that makes tableware, and it runs that way. So it's kind of an interesting thing. And now you can see the glass is cooled down, and obviously that means our light bulb is not receiving the electricity it needs. The circuit is not complete.
It's not very excited about that, if you will.
No, it's
Science
not.
jokes.
Yeah. So that's a cool thing to show, and we like to do that for visitors to show them some of that interesting versatility of the material. So another cool thing, since we're talking about insulators, glass insulators, things that people don't typically use anymore, let's make it a Roman bottle.
A Roman bottle.
So we're talking about the thermal properties of glass.
Yep.
Thermal dynamic of glass. When it's liquid, the energy flows through it. When it's solid, it doesn't work. And the whole principle of this Roman bottle is built on that. So one thing about glass making, is when you make a piece, when the glass gets thin, it cools down very quickly. When it's thick, it retains that heat. And so this whole piece is based on that principle of the thermal conductivity and retention of glass. So I'm going to just shape that real easy into a nice round form.
And what is this thing that you're working with? What is this?
So that's a block. It's a wooden tool. It's made of cherry wood. And we use fruit wood because it holds a lot of water.
Oh.
And it doesn't burn away very fast. And we can keep it in that bucket of water all the time. So when we go to hold it against the glass, it doesn't catch fire. It doesn't burn away so quickly. So I've got it pointed down. I'm letting the glass drip. I'm keeping it turning so it's even. And you can see the dripping is kind of slowing down as it gets longer. Slowing down. I'm going to put a little crimp here. Get it started. Now you see there's a lot more thickness down there at the bottom. It's retaining the heat, so I'm going to blow that.
Oh, wow.
And because there's extra thickness, I can make a nice bottle shape.
Oh, wow. You made like such almost a perfect sphere.
It's like a light bulb, isn't it?
That's really impressive. You can see that it's still so hot on the other side.
Yeah, it's still hot, and the thick bottom is still really hot, so I can just stick it right on there. And actually, so people who were making glass 2,000 years ago understood that principle, and they were able to form bottles just like that. In fact, it's one of the ways that early light bulbs were created, believe it or not.
That was one of the early ways of making a light bulb?
That's right, just by hand, even without mold. Some of Edison's first light bulbs were made right here in Corning, New York. So I'm going to heat that up. I have to get the heat energy back up because I want this to be malleable and ductile again. I want to change the shape. I'll make a little rim on this pitcher. Oh, a bottle. I'm turning a bottle into a pitcher because I want to put a handle on here. I want to show you more of that thermal dynamic. And then we'll talk about what happens when we want this piece to cool down. All right, Michael, let's do a little handle for this. Guess what? There's some...
Oh, wow.
You see the little flames? We put wax on the metal tools.
Is that what the flame is coming from?
That's what the flame is. That's right.
Oh, wow.
Yep, so we have a little pad of beeswax over here, and because these are metal tools, they like to scratch the soft glass. So we coat them in wax, and you've probably seen that on like Blown Away.
Oh, yes.
And that just keeps the tool running smoothly over the surface of the glass. All right, so Michael's got a nice handle ready. And I'm not doing this the authentic way. We would actually use the thermodynamic a little better, but because the Romans weren't using shears like this.
What were they using?
They actually used the heat, and I wish I could demonstrate that, but I'm not good enough at this yet. So they would pull this up and then use the heat to just kind of peel that back, and it would basically rip right off because of the residual heat left in the glass. It would just peel off of there. So I still have a little leftover heat, but you can see it's lost that color.
Oh, yeah.
I can get little crimps in there, make a nice little thing. And normally, whenever we make a piece of glass, we want it to cool down very slowly because glass experiences thermal shock. It's like an ice cube. When you throw it into a room temperature glass of water, that ice cube's going to pop in half. You guys have all seen that happen. So actually, what we normally do, you know, this piece is just under 1,000 degrees right now. I'm going to break it off, and I'm going to set it over here on this table. Normally, we would place this into an oven and let it cool down slowly overnight. You can see where the steel has touched it. It's already cracking.
I can hear it cracking.
Yes. So the slow cooling process removes all the residual stress in the glass that's created by different thicknesses and strain created by that rapid cooling. So we put it in the oven. We call that process annealing. So the oven is 900 degrees. We load it full of the stuff that we make during the day, and then at the end of the day, we turn it down, and it slowly cools overnight. So there we have a little bottle. And we'll get back to this later.
All right.
Because it's not going to survive very long.
Oh, no. It's got such a limited lifespan.
Yeah. But it's fun, and it shows that the thermal shock on the glass pretty well, and why
I don't think it's going to last very long at all.
No, it's going to fall apart.
This is like a scary movie when they're out in outer space, or like in a submarine, and the glass starts cracking.
The pressure's on.
The pressure is definitely on over here.
Yeah, the pressure is on. Speaking of which, I think we should put some pressure on using steam. How's that sound? Just for fun.
All right, yeah.
So
Okay.
Michael's got a little core bubble here. We're going to roast an apple. So we're going to use that thermodynamic of glass. We're going to use residual heat to basically cook an apple before your eyes. It's a really cool thing to watch. And I know you've done a lot of demos where you experiment with food and glass.
We did one here where we cooked breakfast.
Yeah, we had breakfast. It was delicious. We're going to make some apple something right now.
Apple fritters.
Will you help?
I would be delighted.
Nick, that would be so great. All right, so I'm going to gather some glass. Michael made a beautiful core bubble here. I'm going to make a thick bubble, open the end, and make a dome, a hot glass dome, that I can put over an apple so you can watch it decay right before your eyes.
One of these apples?
One of those apples. How about those?
These look like they're from New York.
They are. They're New York apples. We just got through apple season. There's still a lot of apples out there.
Are they Honeycrisp? Are they Fuji?
They're all of that.
All right.
There's a mixture.
Excellent.
Yeah. Every time I go to the orchard, the Honeycrisp are gone.
That is one of the best.
So this is traditional glass blowing right here. I'm just shaping the glass. If you look closely, and it might not register on the screen so much, you can see where the heat is. You can see almost a shadow of cool, dimmer glass at the core, and that's where Michael's bubble was. So that still is a little cold. So I'm going to go back here, and I'll heat it up a little so everything's the same temperature before I inflate this. And I'll pop a hole in the end and open it up and make sort of a cup with a little steam hole. We'll break it off, and then we're going to roast this apple. And it's actually really cool to watch. We'll do two versions. One is the more volatile version.
Which we like.
But we'll do that second.
Okay.
The first one is
we got to warm up to it.
Yeah, exactly. So what's going to happen is I'll blow this up. And once I get this all shaped, Michael will dump some glass on the marver into a patty that we call a cookie. You'll see why we call it a cookie in just a little bit.
So what are you doing here? I see that there's a kind of like a tube or something on the backside.
That's right. So this is how we're blowing now. This is how we're dealing with mask protocols and wearing masks. This is a great tool that we can use to blow the glass with masks on, so we don't have to put our mouths on the pipes and all that stuff. And it's just compressed air. We have a little pedal here, and there's some little valves behind me, a little solenoid that's activated by a foot switch. And I can blow the glass just by using my toe. So it's toe-blown glass. It's not mouth-blown or hand-blown.
I think that makes it more unique and more valuable.
Well, I think so. And it's kind of a neat tool, actually. It makes things go really quickly. You saw how quickly that happened. I can watch the contour of the piece while it's happening. I'm just going to blast a hole through here now. I just want to make this quickly so we have a nice cloche to watch our apple.
Oh, wow. Man, that was like butter.
So I got it really hot. And I got it so hot and malleable that I was able to peel it open. Now there's a big hole in the end.
Big old hole.
Big old hole. Back to the heat. And that's another cool thing about glass is you have time. So there's a rhythm to it. I work the glass. I go back. I can think about my next moves. So there's a way to improvise with glass blowing, but it's a lot easier to have a plan.
Yeah. Because I imagine just trying to willy-nilly this it's not gonna exactly work out so hot.
Well, yeah, you saw what happens when you let the glass do what it wants, right?
Yeah, you get a music note, and then it cracks, and then you gotta throw it away.
A beautiful music note, but that's all you can make, right? There's some other things you can make, too. You can make string spaghetti art, essentially. But it's hard to make much of anything else unless you have some control over it. And part of that is just having things planned out a little bit. All right, so I have a nice dome. This is just apple size. And Michael is he's gonna dump a little pool of glass on the marver over there, Nick. And I want you to help out, if you don't mind, by placing an apple in the center of the cookie.
I will do as such.
But wait a minute before you do. Let's let it cool down. And we'll just watch this one cook. And then we'll do another one where the steam actually blows the glass for us.
Okay. I mean, if you think that's what's going to happen, but you know, it is in fact an experiment, so we'll see.
It's always an experiment with me.
So I just place the apple right on
Yeah,
top.
right in the center, but I'll tell you when.
Okay.
Let's wait just a little bit.
Yeah, I'll wait on your command.
This one's the kind of easygoing one. And then we'll just watch that apple. The water in that apple will volatilize. Go on.
Stick it on there?
Yeah, go on. Stick it on there.
Oh, man, that's
See if
warm.
you can get it to...
That's very warm.
Now I've sealed it in there. I'm going to break it free. And let's watch Mr. Apple.
Oh, wow. It's making noises. It sounds very angry.
Is it getting angry? Is it hulking? It's going to rip through its clothes, isn't it?
It also smells very much... Oh, wow. Oh, wow. It's like aging so quickly.
It's like watching a time lapse almost of the apple rotting.
That is wild.
So this is, when our time lapse function.
I thought it was going to preserve the apple forever, but instead it made it age infinitely quick.
Oh, yes. We found the evil apple that puts Cinderella to sleep, or Snow White.
I mean, that feels like less than maybe a minute.
Yeah. So the apple has a lot of water in it. It's the only reason why it still has form right now. If that was kind of a dried out core, it would burn, and there'd be a lot of smoke rather than steam.
It smells kind of good now.
Yeah, autumny, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the bacon was, Nick.
No. We did make bacon on hot glass. It had a very different smell.
It was delicious. Maybe not so good for me, but... All right, so let's do another one. How's that sound? But this one, we're going to do it a little hotter.
So we have some people from the live stream that are saying, explain what's happening. What is happening here?
So what's happening is the glass there. Remember this glass? Here's a piece of paper.
Yep.
Paper burns at 451.
Yeah.
Like the book, right? So this is still really hot.
Oh,
you
wow.
see it's catching the paper on fire. So even though this glass looks room temperature, the glass at the bottom is even thicker. That patty called a cookie that Michael poured out on the table, and you put that's really thick. So this is holding its heat for a long time, and it's just cooking that apple.
Wow. Very
quickly. And it's taking all of the steam out of it. And there's a little hole in the top, and if you put your hand, oh my gosh, Nick.
Is that really hot?
You can see it's blowing.
Oh, wow, look at that.
It kind of blows it's really hot. Yes, it's like a tea kettle. So put your hand there, and you can feel a little hot steam.
Oh, that is very warm. Oh, it's kind of nice now.
Yeah, it's
I could do this in the winter.
Hand therapy.
Yeah. That's a very expensive apple furnace you've created.
Let's do another one that's going to be even more fun. How about another mess?
So we have a comment on here that says, would it be dangerous to eat? Would that be dangerous to eat? Or do you think at this point it's just a regular old cooked apple?
All right,
I would assume that would probably be a little too warm to eat. Would you say that, what temperature do you think the glass is at this point?
Say again?
What temperature do you think the glass is?
Right now, I would say that glass is probably about 500 degrees, a little below 500.
So
Just judging about how it ignited the paper, it's probably right about there.
What temperature do you think the apple is?
Well, pretty hot. I don't know exactly. Boiling
Too hot
temperature.
to eat.
I wouldn't eat it. It would burn the roof of your mouth.
Too hot to handle. Well, it's
We should let it sit a
completely black.
while. So I'm going to make another one of those domes. And this time, Michael will dump out the cookie on the marver. But as soon as he clips it free, or maybe just a couple seconds afterwards, then why don't you place the apple?
Okay.
And we'll see what happens. This is going to be fun. This one's a little less predictable, Nick. I hope that's okay with you.
Okay. Is it hot enough to light the paper on fire? Oh! Wow. That was, I want to claim that trick was mine. I want to say that I did that.
You did.
But all I did was actually just shock me.
You shocked it with the edge of the
still
paper.
Going. It's still doing its thing. It's just breaking on its own.
So it looked like you just touched it with paper, Nick. Was that enough to break it?
Apparently, it does not like that.
No. Anything can trigger that thermal shock failure. Just touching it with a little cold tool or even a piece of paper. It was going to break anyways because we just had it sitting there. But sometimes it just takes a little...
I'm going to use my science brain here a little bit and just assume that the steel was a lot hotter when we poured the little patty. And when we moved it over to the colder steel, this is really where the temperature differential was enough to create that thermal shock and break our little apple oven into multiple pieces.
Is the table hot where the...
I was told so. It definitely feels hot.
Yeah. So that's just transference of that heat. The steel is pulling the heat out of the glass. So we're going to make another one of these domes. One time we did this and we got it to whistle. Let's see if we can do that this time. I bet we can.
So this torch looks different than the other one. Why is that one bluish?
So there's the fluffy torch. And I'll show you that in a second. Let me just get this. I got to use the heat while I got it. There we go. I got through. So there's this torch. This is propane. And we call it fluffy because the flame looks kind of fluffy.
Yeah.
It's just, it's for burning weeds and it's for that type of thing. Or, heating up rooftops for tar and things. This one is propane, but it also has oxygen. So anytime you add air to a flame, it's going to make it hotter. You add velocity to the flame, it makes it hotter. It's the same principle as, blowing on your campfire to get it going, getting the flame hotter. This one takes air from those little holes, so it doesn't get nearly as hot. This one gets about 1,200 degrees, maybe 1,500 degrees. This one gets up to 3,000 degrees at the tip. So you never want to touch
3,000 degrees.
Anyway. Yes. That's probably the most dangerous thing in the studio.
Besides our brains, correct?
Besides our brains. That's right, Nick. Good point. So back to the furnace. I had to keep my eye on it because if this, again, like the one on the table, if it drops too far below 1,000 degrees, that strain is going to break the glass, that thermal shock, the thermal stress. So I have to go back here just to keep it hot, but also, again, I want to open it up. So I need that heat to soften the glass enough to change its shape.
So we have a question. Is it possible to fry an egg on hot glass?
Nick, you know the answer to that question. We've done it, and we've eaten the egg right off the glass. But we when Nick was here last year, we made a plate, a hot glass plate, or a bowl. It was more like a bowl, and then we fried some eggs in there. We also made bacon, Now, is it the most practical way to make breakfast? No, but it's pretty rad, I think, right?
It's also pretty expensive.
It's expensive,
You
yeah.
get one plate, you get one shot at it,
Yep,
and then you don't get to reuse the plate.
that's true. Well, in a sense, we actually could. In fact, that very plate that we made breakfast on, at the end of that day, we threw it right back into the furnace.
Oh, so this might be that plate.
This could be.
Wow.
It could be.
Recycling the glass.
Yeah.
Is this my patty over here?
I think your patty is forming.
I am ready.
This is fun because I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Is that okay?
That's perfectly okay.
Okay.
That's how we do most of our science experiments.
Well, that's good news for me. Oh, I don't know if that's big enough, Michael. Let's do another one. Do it off a blowpipe.
Take two.
It's too small. I need a little more glass. I think that one would look too much like the last one. Very tame. What I'm hoping for is that we have soft enough glass that the steam from the apple is enough to inflate it and blow it up. And I'm also trying to close that down so we get a cute little whistle out of a little air hole.
A little, kind of like a little steam engine, but it's like more like a steam musical instrument.
Yeah, we'll see if it whistles. I don't know. I don't think we'll get that lucky. When we did it, I think we just got lucky. There we go. All right. What do you say, Nick? Why don't you put it on there right now?
Yeah.
Right there. Right. Let's do it. Yep, do it.
Okay, there we go. We're going to put this on there, and it's going on. It's on.
Let's see what happens. Maybe.
Oh, my gosh. It's shaking.
I don't know if it's hot enough. I don't think it's going to do it. Nope.
There's definitely a lot of motion.
Same thing. All right.
It seems to be doing... I mean, it's at least cooking the apple. We've at least gotten that down.
Not fast enough. It's not really inflating. This one smells like sage.
It does. Is that a sage apple?
I think it's a sage apple. Let's try it one more time.
All right, we're going to try this again. We do like cooking apples with glass, but we're thinking there might be another outcome if we can really seal it in here with hotter glass on the base here.
We could move on, too.
All right, round two. Is everyone down for that?
Do we want to do another one? Okay. All right, let's try it. We want to see the action.
We want to see at least what happens.
Yeah. So you got to get it on there a little quicker, Nick.
Okay. It was my fault. I'll take blame for it. I will get the apple on there very quickly.
Super quick. And then, Michael, maybe just a little more glass.
More glass.
More glass. We want to turn an apple into a glass blower. So for this one, I just used the leftover glass on the blowpipe to start it.
Oh.
So you can see that heat shadow there. And then the kind of floppy glass off the end, that's the fresh stuff right out of the furnace. And this is not typical procedure. I'm just kind of rushing through here.
Uh-oh.
Got to plug it in. So a little bit of the fluffy torch.
My phone has overheated. Where is it? Is there an air conditioner over on the side? It's like here-ish. Ah. All right, I'm gonna try to cool the phone
Nick,
very
did
quickly.
your phone overheated?
It literally did. See, it just says like temperature overheated. How
Yeah,
unfun is that? All right, this actually works. We've done this before. We have this like really intense like we call it a blast furnace, but it's really not. It's just actually just a forced air induction furnace. It gets up to enough to melt things like copper. And we like to stick the phone down in there to get the nice, the best angle. And we've melted the phone before, so we do know that if you put AC on it, it tends to cool down pretty quickly.
AC is good for the phone. So all the same stuff here. We're just trying to get to the interesting part quickly. There we go. And Michael, why don't you take your first dip?
We're back in business.
We're back in business. Woo! All right, welcome back, TikTok fans.
It was really intense there for a while. Didn't know if we were going to survive.
It's live.
All the followers have now left the chat. All right, just kidding. We still have 96. Okay, we're good. We're back. We're back, people. Thank God. Whew. All right, we're back into it. We're still live. The phone overheated, so that was my bad. I got it way too close to the hot glass. All right, so I'm gonna try to have like a safe-ish distance at least now.
Yes. Yeah, we got to watch our phones. They do get hot, especially when the torches are flaring.
Oh yeah.
All right, Michael.
But I'm glad this like worked out, so hopefully it doesn't overheat.
If you wouldn't mind just getting that apple on there, like
I will do it
lickety-split.
ASAP. Oh, it smells really good. Like, all right, you tell me when. I'm gonna just dunk the apple right on the hot glass. Should I do it right now?
Get it. You put it in there, quick. Oh my gosh. This is. Yeah,
He was right. I should have done it ASAP. Oh gosh. Oh. Oh, he just jammed it down in there.
Is it going to do any more? Oh, it's coming out of here.
Oh, we've got a side breakage.
Oh boy, that's hot.
Oh boy. It's making all sorts of noises.
It's whistling a little bit. Oh, here we go. Something's happening. Well, it's not as cool as I thought it would be.
I mean, we at least made a bell. That's kind of nice.
Yep.
And I can definitely hear it kind of whistling on the backside here.
Well, what do you say we try popcorn instead?
You know what? I like popcorn. I feel like we have like a fall theme going on here.
Yeah, you know, I like
corn and apples.
It's just like being at the orchard, really. So yeah, it's kind of fun to do that. It's a fun thing to play with the thermal dynamics of glass, and most certainly as a glass maker, you know, it's something we make use of all of the time when we make stuff.
Just wanted to prove how warm this still is.
Yeah, so that's probably a little under 500 degrees.
Oh, glass tricks.
Yep. Do we have time for one more thing, Nick? What do you say?
I think so.
All right, we're going to make a bubble, and we're going to show a little bit of glass color show.
Okay.
The one thing about when you're making glass, when you use color, it always looks the wrong color. So if I use green, it looks kind of brown. And it's always going to look orange when it first comes out of the furnace because of the heat energy that it's emanating. So I'm going to make a little blue glass here.
Okay.
And then I've got this bucket of water over here. And I'll show you for an instant when it comes out of that water. I'll dip it in there. I'll break the surface apart just like we did with the Prince Rupert's drop. And we'll end with that Prince Rupert's drop after this.
Okay.
And it'll super cool the outside. You'll see that color for an instant, and it'll also break the surface apart to show you how that surface can change temperature, but the core is still remains molten. It's kind of a neat.
So we're going to go ahead and gather the glass. Is that what you said? We're going to gather that over here first?
Yep, I'll gather on this bubble that Michael's just made. He's just feeding me bubbles.
Okay.
That I can do things with. So here we go.
Into the furnace, into the sun. Right. I'm all about those sound effects.
And so one way we can color things is, of course, with crushed up glass. I'm going to use this glass powder.
Oh, wow.
It's a beautiful lapis blue.
That is a very beautiful lapis.
But see how immediately when it touches the glass, it is no longer, it looks really chalky in the powder form. You know, it shows white. But when this is all finished, it's just like lapis lazuli. It's that type of real rich
It is
royal
so bizarre
blue.
that it's clearly blue, but
Yep.
then when it goes onto this giant glob of molten glass, that it then turns immediately
It's like purple.
to red again.
Yeah. That's the heat energy. It's busting through.
It's
And-
kind of deceiving then, like how we perceive colors.
Yeah, that's true. You have to know what you're putting on there at the beginning.
So we have a question. What does the powder do?
So this is actually, the powder is crushed up colored glass that is lapis blue in color. So it's pre-made and then it's crushed into a fine powder. And we could just tint the glass by placing it on the surface of molten glass out of the furnace. It's one way. So here you can see the blue magically appearing when I touch the cold block to it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like magic. And then when I let go, it starts to go orange again. Here,
It's kind of crazy because on the phone it looks like it's just really vibrant pink.
It is. It's kind of like a purpley pink because you've got that reddish heat color mixing with the blue pigment. So it's always distorting to red. So the other thing is reds look brown, you know, and you never see that finished color until it's all the way down to room temperature. So here I'm just gonna dip. Do you want to pull that bucket out, Michael? So here, nice orange color. Hey, it's blue.
That was so instant, so quick.
But you see the surface is also cracked apart.
Wow.
There we go.
Now, what happens if you put it back into the furnace?
It's going to start melting back. Let's do it again. So you'll see I'm going to turn it orange again. Can I have the air, Michael? Thank you, sir. And let's see, I'm going to kick the pedal over by the bucket maybe. Just so I can, yeah. Okay, here's the blue.
Whoa.
And then watch, I'll blow a little bit, inflating. Woo! And you could see the top part blew out.
Wow.
Everything else didn't because I super cooled where the blue is. The soft glass blew out. All right, let's do a punny, Michael.
So basically, every time you heat it back up, and it gets to what, around 2,000 degrees?
Just before that, usually. It's you know, just the very surface might be 2,000 degrees. But usually around 1,800. And I actually don't know the number. We'd have to put one of those laser sensors on there to really know the true temperature. So what I'm using is theoretical temperature just based on my experience and knowledge of the material. And what that temperature actually is, I'm not too sure. But I know 2,000 is at the top end of our working range and 1,000 is at the bottom end.
It cools so quickly, and you can...
So look, you can see that.
Wow.
So that's kind of a neat artistic technique too, using that surface tension or the compression and having it break apart. It almost makes like an elephant skin surface. So Michael's got a punny. We're just going to stick that on there. We'll make a little bowl out of this. And we'll play with the heat one more time, just because the glass studio is such a fun place to play with heat.
It's so vibrant blue now.
Kind of looks like a dinosaur egg, right?
So we have a question. What are you making?
I'm making just a little vase or a bowl. And then what we're going to do is we're going to throw some popcorn in there
Oh.
and see if the heat can make popcorn.
So we've like transitioned into the next experiment already.
What's that?
We've transitioned into the next science experiment already.
Yes, we have.
I thought we were just showing the blue color, but now we're on the popcorn making?
Yeah, one to the next, you know.
All right, geez.
You got to be efficient in the glass studio because you're always burning fuel of some kind somewhere. All right. So you can see where that color is. The orange is a nice indicator of the heat. So Michael's put some heat up into the top of the bubble. I'll spread that out. And then Michael's going to get the popcorn. We'll see if we can't do Mr. Redenbacher some justice here. All right. I got to let it cool just a little bit. I don't want to burn the popcorn. I always do when I try to do this. So for you, Nick, I'm going to be very careful with it.
Thank you. Yes, specifically for the popcorn. And so what we're going to do is we're basically just going to throw kernels in there, and we're going to hope that the glass, with its temperature, can actually pop popcorn.
And I mean, what temperature do you think popcorn pops at? I don't actually know.
400, 500?
400. So that's pretty cold for the glass. That's right around, you know, where it might break. So
yeah,
I have to leave it out for quite a while, kind of to the point where it's making me a little nervous.
Oh. Wow, we started off and this thing was so vibrant red. Now we're so blue.
You're seeing the true blue now. True blue.
Oh my gosh, I would love to.
Do you think it's time?
So I just...
Yeah, let's give it I'm going to just heat
All
the
right.
outside just a little bit.
I didn't have a lot of success with the apple, but I feel like the popcorn could be a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so just as a recap here, we're going to be putting this popcorn into
let's
this
do
glass
it.
vessel, which is super hot, and we're going to see if we can pop this popcorn.
Come on, pop for us, popcorn.
All right.
This is old popcorn, too. It's vintage.
Vintage popcorn.
Vintage. I'm going to just toss it
there you
around
go.
just
Nice
like
little-
Grandma used to. See if we can get some heat on that. Anything?
So we have someone, it pops at 355 degrees. So that's
Okay.
it's pretty low. Oh, there we go.
A little extra heat
Oh,
in
yeah,
there.
there we go. Oh, it's popping right out.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Oh, there we go. Wow, we are successful glass popcorn makers. Not so good at catching it. Oh, gosh, it's just havoc. Oh, wow.
So now we got our snack. Now that it's snack time.
That was really good. Oh, look
Yeah.
at that. There's still two left right on the corner.
Ooh. Just drop that in
Verified popcorn?
here. Yeah, it's good.
All right. I'm going to take this little guy right here. I'm going to test out, see if this popcorn... Well, you know what? We'll put the bowl out, okay? And it's up to you if you want to have the popcorn.
There isn't enough for everyone, especially on the internet. I don't think we could, we don't want to be unfair. We have a lot of other viewers other than our studio audience.
You could each have half a kernel. It'll be great.
So that's fun. And now let's kind of, maybe we could finish off with a nice bang, huh?
Okay. I gotta admit, that was really great, though. The popcorn tasted really good. I know that you said it was old, but it tastes really good.
It's not bad.
So, just as a recap, we popped this popcorn with glass.
Mask back up.
Pretty great.
It's not bad. Popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glass pop.
Little butter, maybe a little salt.
Yeah, definitely needs that, for sure.
So do you remember the Prince Rupert drop? And we talked about the Bavarian prince who liked ballistics and explosions, and he's fascinated by stored energy.
Oh, yes.
Well, so we've got our Rupert's drop that we made one of the first things we did today. And I want to show you, again, how strong this is.
Okay.
And I probably should wear a glove. So I'll put this one on, just in case. But Oh, this is the wrong glove. Yeah, let me have a left.
Safety is number one priority.
Safety first. So this is a great demonstration of, I've got a hammer here, I've got a steel table, and I've got a piece of glass. Oh, man.
Wow. You have dented the actual table.
Here, I'll prove it one more time. So I'll lay it right here. See, the table is clean. I'm going to get in trouble for this.
Oh,
I
boy.
know it.
But in the name of science, man, I believe in you.
Well, you got to make the demonstration.
Wow.
So there, yes. So I can hit that glass with a hammer.
Yes.
And that's what the compression stress is doing to the glass. It's making it so strong and so hard because it's constantly pushing in. And that's because we rapidly cooled it in a bucket of water. The inside has tension, so what we want to do is break through that compression layer, and let's see what happens.
All right.
I'm going to put it in here.
The box of science?
This is the danger box. Some people call the byproduct of this fun thing danger glitter.
Yeah, let's get some more light in here so we can see this.
All right, so there's our Rupert's drop. You saw me hit
are.
this thing with a hammer. I actually dented our steel table, right?
Oh, yeah.
But every strong thing has an Achilles heel, including a Prince Rupert's drop. So I'm going to break this little tail.
Okay.
It's going to bust that compression layer. 1, 2, 6. Oh!
It like vaporized.
We call that danger glitter.
Danger glitter. Yeah, you don't want to throw that everywhere.
Danger glitter.
Man, that thing was whole. There was nothing in there. And now it almost looks like it went back to sand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And you can tell why maybe somebody who's interested in stored energy and ballistics and explosions would be fascinated by something like this. So
that was impressive.
Yeah, and a lot of fun too. A lot of fun. And this is the same principle as tempered glass. So when we have strong tempered glass, like these sheets of glass here, are made of tempered glass. So if they are hit by a bowling ball or a rock, it's pretty hard. It's unlikely to break. But then if you pinpoint, somehow fracture the surface of it, it will explode into almost like little marbles. You don't have any of the very sharp shards that can hurt you. So you try and avoid that. So that's tempered glass. It's the same type of glass that's on the side windows of your car.
To keep us safe and not exploding in our face.
That's right, yeah. You don't want shards of glass. You want little pebbles. And that's what we have here.
Nice.
Yeah, but they just fly everywhere. They fly everywhere. It's catastrophic. So that's the Prince Rupert's drop. It's a fun one, and we like to demonstrate that for people here at the Corning Museum. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Do we have any more questions from anybody?
I don't know. We can flip down through here, but yeah, we're going to kick it back. Let's see here. Do we have any questions?
Any questions in the live audience?
Out here. Any questions in the live audience?
All right, so some of you already know this, but Nick is also going to be doing a meet and greet up on the West Bridge. And what time does that start at? Do we know? Starts about now, yeah. So as soon as Nick is all finished up here, he's going to head up to the West Bridge after he relaxes a little bit and cools down from being by the furnaces. You can meet him right on the West Bridge here at the museum. So thanks for tuning in to Nick's TikTok channel. Have a great time. Stop by the Corning Museum when you get an opportunity. It's a great place to visit. We have a lot of fun here with glass, and you're going to learn a ton. So thank you all in the live studio audience. Let's give Nick Uhas a nice big round of applause.
And me too. The whole thing was great. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much. It was fun playing with the glass with you, Nick.
Absolutely.
Yep.